In the first 6 months of 2015, Saudi Arabia beheaded on average one prisoner every other day. The country has one of the highest execution rates in the world, and is still the only one still regularly performing public beheadings. This practice has been widely condemned and is considered a severe violation of human rights. So why is Saudi Arabia executing so many people? Well, Saudi Arabia is an Islamic theocracy, which means that they follow Islamic law known as Sharia. Within Sharia law, one can be put to death for any number of non-lethal or lethal crimes, including religious offenses like blasphemy or witchcraft. While sometimes executions are done by firing squad or stoning, beheadings are much more common, and occasionally the beheaded body is crucified. A gang leader was beheaded and publicly crucified for 3 days after robbing a jewelry store. Although most executions are public, there are no announcements in advance, and spectators are not allowed to photograph or videotape them. In 2015, Saudi Arabia increased the number of executions dramatically. Some have attributed this to instability in the region, to show that they are not afraid of doling out capital punishment. According to Sharia law found in the Quran, there are 3 major criminal categories for which capital punishment can be imposed. The first is based on specific crimes and punishments found in the Quran called hudud, and considered crimes against God. This includes adultery, converting to another religion, and homosexual behavior. Murder is not included in this category and is instead seen as a personal dispute. Crimes like those fall into qisas category, meaning retaliatory, any eye for an eye type crime. Any bodily injury or attack is included in this category, and since the crime is considered a dispute in Saudi Arabia, it is possible for a murderer to pay blood money to a victim's family to avoid prosecution. In 2013, a man who stabbed another man in the back was sentenced by a court to have his spinal cord severed unless he paid more than $250,000 to his victim. The final category is called tazir and covers pretty much all other crimes. The punishment is left to the judgment of the court, although it may still be based in scripture. Everything from rape to witchcraft to drug smuggling falls into tazir, and those found guilty can be executed for fairly benign offenses. The last execution for sorcery, for example, occurred as recently as 2014. Saudi Arabia doesn't just execute its own citizens, but also kills a huge number of foreigners from developing countries. Often they are convicted of drug smuggling and are unable to defend themselves. However, it is reported that no Westerners have ever been executed in Saudi Arabia. In recent years, Saudi Arabia has even been compared to the brutal terrorist group ISIS. Saudi officials have defended the executions, saying that they are the result of due process. Still, many point out the ideology and religious interpretation of criminal activity is relatively identical between the two. Unfortunately, Saudi Arabia's massive level of global influence makes it difficult for the international community to force them to stop.